There are victims, and then there are people that portray themselves as victims. Last night, LaVar Ball yesterday said, the Laker coaches don't know how to coach my son. The quote was, he's been away from me too long. I see tendencies in his game. They're trying to baby him a little bit. I know how to coach him. Stop messing around. And I know the reaction this morning is, oh, man, what did the Lakers get themselves into? The Lakers knew what they were getting themselves into, folks, right? I mean, if anybody's capable of dealing with a loud, outspoken father, it would be Luke Walton, Bill Walton. Here was Luke reacting to crazy, uncontrollable LaVar Ball.
I think that he has done a phenomenal job as a father with Lonzo, because Lonzo is a special young man. He's selfless. He's unselfish. His teammates love him. He cares about them. He plays the game the right way. So he's done a great job with that. But we're not concerned with what parents think of how we're coaching the team.
And by the way, that's one of the reasons they signed Lonzo. Don't kid yourself. The Lakers now are a topic on our show and on every show. They knew what they were getting into. This is a Laker organization that re-signed Kobe to a 2-year deal. It was a terrible deal. Do you know why they did it? Because Time Warner Cable said, we're not going to give you the big TV regional money unless you have Kobe Bryant. Listen, this is the game that these major market teams are playing. I understand what LaVar's doing because LaVar's always done this. Little guy punching up to the big guy. He punched Nike. They fired back. He punches Trump. They fire back. He punches the media, they fire back. He punches the Lakers, the president. This is what the little guy does to get attention. I understand that, but don't kid yourself. He's not only building a brand, the Lakers are now rebuilding a brand. And there's lots of ways to rebuild a brand, and outrageous is one of them. But just remember this. They had long discussions knowing the weaknesses and strengths and LaVar. The Dodgers are now... They won their division again and got to the World Series. USC is back. The Clippers are in their same building with a star Blake Griffin winning more than the Lakers. The LA Rams are in town. The LA Chargers are in town. Okay, this is a competitive market like a Chicago, a New York. The Lakers knew what they were doing. Of course they did. Next to the Sixers, they have the worst record in the league since 2013. This comment's not going to affect the team. I really don't think it is. But it could affect merchandising. You see all sorts of victims out there. But in this instance, the Lakers knew what they were doing. Think about this. When you're like a 45-year-old person, you don't really change your habits. Like a little boy can be different with better teachers, better parents, better schooling. But at 45, if you're a loudmouth, at 46, you're not quiet. You know what I mean? Like, Trump campaigned as a crazy guy. Well, what do you know as a president? He's kind of a loud, crazy guy. The Kardashians were crazy 15 years ago. What do you know? They're crazy 15 years later. LaVar was a loudmouth a year ago. What do you know? LaVar's a loudmouth today. The Lakers knew exactly what they were doing. In fact, the one thing of credit I will give LaVar, by LaVar putting massive pressure on the Lakers, you could make the argument that Lonzo became such a talking point in American sports. Chris Broussard said this on our show a couple of weeks ago. You can make the argument LaVar put pressure on the Lakers, and they felt almost compelled to have to pick Lonzo in the draft.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There were benefits to his running his mouth, and I do think one of them is, as I've said before on this show, was maybe getting Lonzo drafted number 2. If we didn't know who LaVar Ball was, he was a normal, quiet parent, it's a good chance, I believe, Lonzo would not have been the second pick.
And with that, we bring in Doug Gottlieb, who has so many interesting talking points today. I'm excited for this because I always get, before guys come on the show, 3 or 4 things you're going to talk about. So let's go to LaVar Ball's assertion that they don't know how to coach him like I do.
I think that's fair. I actually think if you look at the full context, he wants them to be harder on Zoe.
Okay.
Right? He's not saying that X and O wise, he's saying they should be harder on him, that they're too nice to him, they're too soft to him. But if he knows how to coach him better, why didn't he prepare Lonzo better for the NBA? Lonzo's never played pick and roll. He's never played real defense.
No, it's interesting.
Right.
You think he'd be a pick and roll guy.
Right. If you're going to prepare your son to be an NBA point guard, then you need to have him know how to play against pick and roll. Because with the exception of the Golden State Warriors, who run the smallest amount of pick and roll, it's a huge 75-80% of offense in the league is pick and roll. And so if he wants to take credit, look, I know how to coach him. Why isn't he a better finisher at the rim? Okay, why? I think that Lonzo and his dad, frankly, thought he would just show up in the NBA. He said oftentimes, I'm a gamer. Like, that sounds great. We want guys to play better in games than they do in practice, but you have to put in the work in practice. And I think he's learning that. But I don't think this affects them all that much, but I do think it's an unnecessary irritant. Lonzo has been bad more than he's been good during his rookie year.
Fair.
Okay? So now he's shown signs. He's an outstanding rebounder, 13 boards.
Yeah.
He's still an outstanding passer. He's got to get stronger. He's got to get to be a better finisher. And, of course, they got to fix his jump shot. He has handled it in terms of emotionally around the team, ups and downs, really, really well. Nobody thinks he's not somebody that you want to play with.
Right.
He's not an alpha. He's not a leader. He's not vocal in any way. But for a kid in his first year in L.A., in his hometown, trying to lead the Lakers, he's handled it pretty well. But can you imagine if you're Luke Walton, to which there hasn't been one negative word about Lonzo Ball, who has played more bad games than good as a rookie? The assistant, trainer, there's no leaks. I know guys in the Lakers. Nobody has anything bad to say about Zoe at all, even though he's performed below their own level of expectations. And here his dad is doing an interview saying that they're too soft, they don't know how to coach him, which comes across obviously negatively. I think that is an unnecessary irritant, and I do think it's something that this is where Magic Johnson has to show leadership. Call him in and go, hey, look, we're shutting this down now. You can't do it because you're going to hurt the possibility of us getting free agents.
How do you call in someone's dad, though? Like, this is the NBA. They're adults. Can you say, oh, hello, Mr. LaVar. Will you please come in for a parent-teacher conference?
Mr. LaVar.
That's,
you know?
I mean, like, look.
I agree with you, but how is that possible?
Well, I think what Luke said last night was perfect. Was perfect. Like, we don't talk to people's parents about how we coach it. Like we're really having this discussion. But he's Magic Johnson.
You will pick up the phone for Magic.
You pick up the phone for Magic, and Magic calls you in, or Magic says, "Let's go have lunch and let's talk this thing out." And because all that LaVar needs to say, if LaVar wants this thing to be successful, is I did all that I could to get him to this point, and now I trust the Lakers, and they're going to do what's in their best judgment. Yeah. I trust them, and I am a fan. I'm his biggest fan. I'm his biggest advocate. I'll help build this brand, and he's going to be successful. That's all he needs to stay. Period. Stop. Anything else is nonsense, and it's hurting the possibility of Lonzo turning around this rookie season.
By the way, you've got some great stuff here. Before we get to football, because you know the Baker Mayfield situation, the Harbaugh college football rankings. Who's the best? You think, I always thought they brought Lonzo in, not to score, but for players to look and go, oh, God, that kid would get me the ball.
Correct.
Who's the best recruiter for the Lakers?
Carmelo Anthony.
Explain, please.
Well, look, if you've noticed, the Knicks are playing well, and the Thunder are playing poorly.
Right.
Carmelo is really hard to play with. He's hard to live with.
Yes.
Carmelo is... He's really close friends with LeBron James. LeBron James wanted them to add talent. They did add talent in the offseason, right? Dwayne Wade came in. Derrick Rose came in. Do you notice who they did not make a move for?
His best friend.
Correct. Carmelo Anthony. Why? They like Carmelo. Carmelo's a great dude. If you sit on this couch, you're like, man, I like that guy.
He's a good hang.
He's a good hang. He's smart. He knows about things outside of basketball. He's interesting. But you know what he's not? He's not easy to play with. He needs the ball. He doesn't play defense. People say he's not a versatile defender. That's not true. He can't guard any position. He's very versatile. So if it was just Russell Westbrook and Paul George in Oklahoma City, I think you might struggle to get Paul George to move back home to L.A. because despite what you may think, guys love playing with Russell Westbrook. he's an indefatigable worker. He defends, he leads, and he's somebody who's not only a good hang, but also somebody who competes for every game like it's his last game.
Yeah.
Carmelo's just not that dude. He's hard to play with. He needs the ball. He's not a great three-point shooter, so he's kind of in the way, and the ball stops every time he gets it. I think Carmelo Anthony is really helping the Lakers' cause. The Lakers haven't been as good as they would have liked, as often as they would have liked, but Carmelo is helping really take away from those issues with Zoe and their growth because he's so difficult to play with. It's got Paul George to be like, do I really want to do this for
Listen,
another
years
couple
ago,
years?
when I got into this business years ago, it's funny you talk about this because when we started over here, right? Like I usually ended up like when I went to ESPN, it was a factory. I was just a little lug nut in a factory. But over here, they would ask my opinion occasionally. What do you think of boom, 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 boom? Yourself included. And I always say, hire people who are a good hang. Like you can have talent, but there were, I'm not going to mention the names, but there were two people that came up and I'm like, bad hang. Just not this be hard to work with constantly. And so Melo is that guy. Is that everybody's like, dude, he's one of the great. I mean, honestly, in the history of basketball, if I said to you, if you did one-on-one basketball,
Yep.
you took Barkley, Dirk, Melo, I could argue Melo beat all of them one-on-one.
Yeah, because he can score at all three levels. Three, in mid-range,
really,
post up.
But a lot of times people, some you date, some you marry. It works for men and women. Some people are hard to live with, like you said.
It reminds me, there's a certain play-by-play man who I think is immensely talented, and his color analyst, we both know, we've talked about off-air, constantly looks at other things, and it's because he's a great play-by-play guy, but it's hard. It's unnecessarily difficult.
Yes.
Basketball is supposed to be fun. You're supposed to enjoy going to work because it's not really like work. You're playing ball. And I honestly think that the mellow element to Oklahoma City will do more harm for Oklahoma City and more to help the Lakers.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from the newest show on FS1, First Things First, with Chris Carter and Nick Wright.